Hello, friends. Welcome back to the 13th edition of What the Facts, the most frequently asked questions about nutrition. Today, I'm going to discuss sleep. You know, sleep is foundational to all the other determinants of health. It's something we all engage in, but some of us are better at getting good sleep than others. Now, what is good sleep? Well, according to Dr. Matthew Walker, someone whose book I'm in the process of reading and whose YouTube lectures I've listened to for really several hours. Good sleep means getting about 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. That is essentially uninterrupted and involves deep brainwave patterns. That means deep sleep. Now, Dr. Walker is the chief of the service at UC Berkeley in California, their sleep medicine center. And he is outspoken about the importance of good quality sleep. And he's given several lectures and written several papers. And he recently wrote a book called Why We Sleep. And it's incredible. So I highly recommend it. Now, most of us tend to overlook sleep when we think about nutrition. I'll say many of us, I won't say most. And I know I have for many years, but after studying it for the last several weeks, I think it's probably in the top two or three of vital aspects of life. Because without good sleep, you're not going to generally make good food choices and have a nice regular exercise program or have the energy for exercising. And it's going to affect just about every aspect of your body. Poor sleep leads to irritability and mood swings. It leads to um, thinking processes that are kind of disjointed. Discernment is impacted. Alertness, focus. I mean, you name it. It's just it contributes to many bad things, including hypertension and your blood sugar levels. It affects um, anxiety, and it's kind of a chicken egg thing, chicken versus egg. Anxiety can disrupt sleep, and sleep can cause anxiety. And Lord knows there's a lot of stress out there causing anxiety. Pandemic, jobs, lack of jobs, relationships, world conflict, um, shootings, a lot to stress us out. But how our body handles stress is what's important. And I've been on a soapbox about food choices and exercise, but sleep is fundamental. And many of us just don't get enough. It's something that it represents really my Achilles heel, and I'm still working on it. But how would you grade your sleep? What I want to do is give you 10 tips on how to improve upon your sleep. Now, if you have a sleep disorder, you're going to need to talk to your doctor because there are various sleep disorders or disorders that directly impact sleep that need to be addressed. And these tips may not nearly address those. That includes sleep apnea and severe GERD, that's gastroesophageal reflux disease, um, um, severe anxiety. So you definitely need to address those directly. But many of us just have poor sleep hygiene. So the first thing to do is to make sure that you're getting to bed at the same time each evening. Routine is very important. So um, set your watch timer or your phone, maybe a half hour before you plan to go to bed, so that you're reminded that it's time to go to sleep. There's a body clock, something in what's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. I think that's the name of it. It's the master clock of the brain. And that clock thrives on consistency. So going to bed at a consistent time is very healthy for your brain and your body. Secondly, you want to have the temperature setting at an optimal level in your room where you sleep. Dr. Walker and other sleep experts have suggested somewhere in the mid to upper 60s or early 70s in Fahrenheit. So, somewhere between 65 and 70 or 72 degrees is optimal for most people. Now, you may have your own unique ideal temperature, but usually too warm or too hot makes it difficult to sleep or stay asleep. So a cool temperature certainly um, can make a difference. And you can have covers on you or a little foot warmer or something like that if you're the kind of person that gets chilled. Thirdly, you want to make sure it's dim. The lights are dim. Maybe start dimming the lights a half hour before you go to bed, wherever you are. So it kind of sets your mind it gets your mind in tune that it's going to be time for sleep soon. Instead of being in a bright, loud environment, tone it down. So the dimming the lights really helps. Removing lights in the bedroom, there are all these little tiny lights that may flash on from computers and TVs and especially those screens and TV screens. Remove them from the bedroom or unplug them so you don't have a lot of lights. Shades are good. Um, Having a dark room for your bedroom is good. Four is you want to have a wind down period. The wind down is where maybe a half hour or 40 minutes before bedtime, you do something relaxing. You listen to some music or you meditate, you do something mindful, you relax. Some people a warm bath. Um, don't do a cold shower. That kind of stimulates you and it causes what's called vasoconstriction, and your body retains a little heat. A warm or hot shower, though, before before bed, it can be good because you vasodilate. The blood vessels dilate near the skin, and then when you get out of that bath or shower, that heat kind of is reflected off away from your core body temperature, and it's a cooling effect. And that tends to be more in keeping, more aligned with getting to sleep and having a good sleep. Five is that if you happen to awaken and can't get back to sleep and it's been more than 20 minutes, then you'd want to get out of that room, get out of bed, go somewhere with dim lighting, but adequate enough lighting to read. And read something soothing. Don't read something real violent. Don't read the newspaper or turn on the TV and watch the news or check your email. Read something really calming or soothing that will probably make you drowsy and want to go back to sleep. I usually pick up the Bible and start reading it. I sure hope my pastor doesn't look at this video. Um, but that usually makes me want to fall asleep, and it also leaves something generally on my mind that's an upbeat note. So usually that won't take very long, and once you start to feel those eyelids, drooping, go right back to bed and make sure the lights are off and everything's quiet. Six is stay the course if you find you have a bad night. Everybody for one reason or another may have a bad night. For me, I might get a phone call about a patient having some trouble breathing and wakes me up for 10, 15 minutes. I have to turn on the lights. Don't plan on sleeping later to make that up because that can disrupt that consistency I was talking about as the number one thing. Stay the course. If you need a nap or have time for a nap, take a 15 or 20-minute nap, not more than that during the day. But if not, just stay the course. Don't go to bed earlier because that changes your routine. So sleep studies have shown that if you just stay the course with it, you'll fall right back into that sleep rhythm that you may have already established. Um, Number seven is you want to get rid of things that ping and ding. We all have these things, our phones, our tablets, sometimes computers are pinging and dinging and, text messages and WhatsApp stuff, all that. really silence all that so you don't so your sleep isn't disrupted by sound. Try to soundproof your room if you can. If you need to do earplugs because you live with some people that are kind of loud, do those things so that's not disturbing your sleep. Removing blue light stuff that sends those wavelengths through while you're asleep is not good. So remove those from your room. Number 8, try to not eat too close to bedtime, like within an hour or so of bedtime, and especially if you have GERD, like I have. You want to eat, you want to have 3 or 4 hours before eating, 3 or 4 hours before bedtime or more, because that food kind of sits on your stomach and reflux can really disrupt your sleep too. If you don't have GERD though, try not to eat within an hour of bedtime, and especially try to avoid those sugary snacks within an hour or 2 or 3 of bedtime. Remember, those simple sugars I've talked about in other videos aren't good anyway. And you don't want to have an insulin spike when you go into bed and then the sugar plummets, and then in the middle of the night, you're hungry. You're wondering why you're uncomfortable, why you want to get up and have a snack when you get up to use the washroom. So avoid those sugary snacks, after dinner or near bedtime. Number 9, make sure if you're a person that caffeinates, you love that coffee, that you drink that coffee before noon and no more than 2 or 3 cups, because caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, and that means that it takes that number of hours to get out of your system, about 5 to 6 more hours, sets of hours to get completely out of your system. So that means it has a quarter life. I mean, there's 25% of that caffeine left 12 hours later. So you really want to, if you have problems with sleep, probably try decaf. And if you don't feel like you have problems with sleep, and sometimes people don't even realize it, the caffeine effect that when they drink it after noon, but it's best to get your coffee in before noon. All right. Um, what's number 9? No, number 10, I think. Number 10 is if you choose to have a nap, then make sure it's less than 30 minutes. It should be 20 minutes, maybe 20, 25 minutes. Because when it goes past 30 minutes, you get into a deeper sleep. And then you have this momentum effect. I think Dr. Walker called it sleep inertia, where then you've gotten into such deep sleep. It takes a while to get out of it, and you feel like you need more sleep when you awaken. And then it's harder to get a good night's sleep at your regular time because you've already kind of hit those later, deeper stages of sleep. So limit your nap to less than 30 minutes, somewhere around 20, 25 minutes max. And that can give you that power retooling. And then you can go forward. And try not to take your nap past 2 p.m. If you go to bed at the usual regular time, 11 p.m. or so, 10, 11, um, or 9 p.m., try not to take your nap um, after 2 p.m. Get it in before that. That's pretty much the wrap. I didn't mention alcohol, but alcohol, don't use alcohol as a sleep aid. It it really is more like a sedative. Dr. Walker has mentioned in his talks and in his book. You're putting your brain to sleep, whereas true sleep, true deep sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep where you have dreams, which is a really healthy thing, is disrupted. It's taken offline by alcohol. So, and alcohol, you can get end up dependent on it. So avoid using alcohol as a sleep aid. A nightcap is probably not a good thing for good sleep. Sleep is so complex. You can disrupt it by drinking regularly or overusing alcohol at night. That's pretty much it. I'll just say that there was a study that showed the 4 most common characteristics of people that live, a number of years longer than others are um, keeping your weight down, um, having enough physical activity, not smoking, making good food choices. But I think a fifth pillar would be sleep. And it probably should be in the top 2 pillars. So I'll leave you with that. And the only quote I would bring back up at this time was that, you know, if you want life to be what dreams are made of, then you really need the good restorative sleep. Take care and see you next time. Bye.